Hello everybody. I know you have attended many conferences in the past, but this conference is different in the sense that in the conference which we have attended previously, we used to mingle, the presenter used to present in front of the audience and we share things like lunches, then high tea and so on. And in some conferences earlier, some pre-recorded messages were displayed, which were recorded by the remotely located researcher, and it was shared with all the delegates sitting together. But here it's so funny that the presenter is also locked down and recording his presentation in a closed room, and the audience, the delegates, they're also listening in the lockdown situation. So this is a very strange situation, and it's all due to the very unusual time we all are facing currently. Dear friends, before I start talking about my talk, I would like to congratulate our institute, especially our director Hedvi sir, for selecting a very relevant topic which fits very much to the current scenario, and also congratulate all the entire team of GVSH for putting this effort. As we know, we are being challenged by this tiny organism which is so tiny that even we cannot see with a compound or ordinary microscope. We need electron microscope to see them. And another strange thing about this organism is that it's at the boundary of living and the non-living, and see the havoc it has created throughout the world. But as our life is being challenged by this tiny organism, it is also time to think what happened in the past and what's happening now and what lessons we learn during this time. Because it's my personal view, being a evolutionary geneticist by training and experience, I think nature give signals, not signals, alarming signals before any catastrophic event occur. So I think nature was giving some signals to us. Come on, man, be aware, okay. But somewhere we intentionally or unintentionally we have ignored these signals, and these signals in the coming years need to be monitored and actions to be taken, because I consider this the current pandemic as a new threat posed by our old relatives. So I consider the danger caused by this virus as new threat from old relatives, because the virus which is responsible for this COVID-19 is a successor of SARS-CoV-1. So there was already SARS outbreak in 2002. So what virus we are currently dealing with is a sequel of, just like we have sequel in Bollywood, Dhoom 1, Dhoom 2, and so on. So this virus is also a sequel of SARS-CoV-1 strain, which was less virulent. So that's why call it as a new threat from old relatives. It means that nature was giving some signals. Hey, come on, be aware. Let's move to the 2005. In 2005, we have bird flu, another new threat from old relatives. So we were we were kept ignoring these signals, which I think were very important to monitor and take actions. Then come 2009, come swine flu H1N1. Another signals come. So of course they derived from a different virus, but they were related, all causing a flu-like conditions. As they were not causing much casualties and limited to a very small geographical regions, so we have not paid much attention. Even vaccine has been developed against swine flu, okay? But do not become much common because it was not that lethal and dangerous as this SARS-CoV-2 is. Then comes the year 2012, and many Middle East countries, they reported MERS, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome. So what is important that somewhere there were some signals which were continuously being given by the nature to pay attention, which I think we really ignore because we have some different priorities, different attentions. So I think this is also time to ponder, to think what should be our strategy and priorities. So in coming years, of course, this pandemic will be over. We will devise very effective treatment against this disease. We will develop a very effective vaccine also. But I don't think that will end the battle there. In this slide, it is depicted the game is over. But again, in Bollywood, there is a famous saying that "Abhi picture baki hai dost." So I think this battle will go on in the coming year. There will be more outbreak because if you see the time, I don't remember the name of the person who invented the DDT, but when DDT was invented, it was announced that we have overcome the world of insect because insects, they cause much damage to the crop during that time and even today. But let's see what happens in the coming years. Now DDT is banned, but insects are still there. So that's why we had to think very seriously how to deal with this. I owe this slide to my son who gave me an idea while I was preparing this presentation. He said that arrival of this COVID-19 is like the challenge posed by Thanos to the superhero Avengers. I am not a vivid fan of any superhero and Avengers like my son. So this is a very good analogy that where Thanos, the villain, is challenging all the superheroes, the Captain America, the Spider-Man, the Hulk, and so on, because I all this learned from my son. I was not knowing that Spider-Man is also a Avenger. This COVID-19 is posing challenges to each and every one, right from a daily wage worker to a white collar professional. Everyone is affected and challenged. So similarly, we faculty are also being challenged by this pandemic, And to me, this challenge or these challenges are twofold. First, number one is how to reach students very effectively during this condition. And second, what scientific knowledge or knowledge we can contribute during this time by involving students. So to set an example that how a faculty and students can contribute during this COVID-19, FATTEN is one very good example. The FATTEN is one web-based tool developed by the students and the faculty of University of Waterloo, a place nearby to Guelph here in Canada. They developed a real-time tool to monitor all the diseases spreading or emerging in Canada in real time, and all this database is exclusively developed by a group of 10 BSc computer science students with the help of faculty. Already University of Waterloo has contributed BlackBerry, the cell phone. So I think this is also time to think and use our skill to contribute something for the betterment of human. Also, this is a very good time to collaborate and share skills. Here I would like to give two examples of one is of GISAID and NCBI. These are the two public databases. First, I will talk about the GISAID. This is the repository or database of all influenza viruses. So all the sequences which are being, many countries, they are sequencing the genome of this SARS-CoV-2 and they're depositing all the sequences in this either in GSID or in the NCBI. So all these sequences are growing daily. Hundreds and thousands of sequences are being deposited. And what's important is that all these databases are free. You can download this information and analyze them, because those labs which are doing all this, they are not currently they are not, it's not their main focus, because they all are doing the servicing, providing services and surveillance. Okay, so it is the responsibility of the faculty and the geneticists, all the epidemiologists, to analyze this data and infer upon. So it is a fantastic time to collaborate and share skills. So considering this COVID-19 as an opportunity to think, pair and share, I collaborated with one of my past collaborator, Dr. Ravi Kumar Gandham, who is scientist G at National Institute of Animal Biotechnology, Hyderabad, with whom I previously published 3 papers. I also involved 2 of my students to download all this information there in the public databases and to analyze them using high computational facilities available here and with Dr. Ravi Kumar. So in the coming 2 slides, I will be a bit technical because I would like to share what we are currently doing. So we downloaded and downloading the genome sequences of the SARS-CoV-2 from GISAID and NCBI, and our main focus is India, because there are some couple of papers which are recently coming out, but they are more concerned to the entire world with no focus to India. So we are analyzing all the sequences with emphasis on Indian sequences, because there are over 100 genomes of SARS-CoV-2 are available in the databases. So I will be talking about the genetics my favorite phylogenetics, and I would like to share this with you. And believe me, this is the first uh, event where I am sharing this unpublished data. So we are targeting some journal very recently. We are in the process of preparing a draft simultaneously when we are analyzing the sequence information. This is the global dynamics of SARS-CoV-2 genome. We analyze all the genome from different part of the world, including India, starting from the first genome, which is called as the reference genome, isolated and sequenced from the Wuhan seafood market in the 26 December 2019. On the y-axis you can see the effective population size or the actual growth of the viruses. On the right hand side you can see the its dynamic. So you can see here in the graph, which is called as a Bayesian scaline plot, you can see there is a clear hike during the mid-January to February. There is a continuous rise and the peak point reached during mid-January to February, and this is the time when most casualties or death occurred in Europe, including Italy and Spain, then followed by USA. So this is a time to, so this data is also give opportunity to use this available statistical software to analyze and infer on. So we use the downloaded information from the public databases like GSID and NCBI to examine the evolution occurring in this virus, because this virus is evolving over time. So it is very essential to know how this virus is evolving. For this we use very robust method in evolution called as phylogenetic, also called as network analysis. We build a network and you will find so many interesting things here. You can see here in this network the historical Wuhan sequence, which was first isolated from the seafood market, is outlier and it is connected to this network A node, and this node A then give rise to node B. These are the two ancestral nodes which arise out of this virus by accumulating mutation. All these small red in number denotes the number of mutations this virus is accumulating during its course. You can find all these yellow are the Chinese viruses, pink are the India, red are the East Asian, this fluorescent belongs to Europe, blue is US, and so on. If you see this network, you will find these two ancestral node, and as our main focus is Indian isolates, you can see here most of the Indian isolates, they are connected to these two nodes A and B. All this you can see here. And another interesting thing is that some of the isolates, they are further bifurcating and accumulating mutations, which is very important to understand this while making a very effective vaccine. So this gives us an opportunity to understand how evolution is happening in real time. Considering the enormous strength and courage demonstrated by people across the world to fight this pandemic, because when we see how people are struggling and dealing with this pandemic, we will find people from different ranks of the society, right from a daily wage worker to a high rank white collar professional, all they are putting their effort and struggling. So we are all are very optimistic that this time will go, and it reminds me one few couplets from a very famous Urdu poem नज्म। हिम्मत की यही कहानी है, पत्थर भी इससे पानी है, उठ बांध कमर क्या डरता है, फिर देख खुदा क्या करता है। Lastly, I am very much thankful to our director, Dr. Hedvi sir, for giving me an opportunity to share my views and ideas. I am also thankful to all my colleagues for patient hearing, the entire GVSS team for putting their effort. For any question, please email me. Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra.